Anytime you come down from the sky, by the way, the sailcloth will always activate for you at the last minute, so I just never use it on the way down. I mean, Fi will tell you that she takes the liberty of deploying the sailcloth for you this one time and will never do it again, but she will do it every single time you're coming down from the sky, so there's really no need. And every time you enter a new area, Fi will give you this text, general text about the area, show the map, and then close it. There's nothing you can do to speed up the text or this cutscene in any way, so just get used to it every time we come to a new area. But here we've located the sealed grounds, way under the clouds, down on the surface of the world that no human has entered in generations. What do we have to find down here? Now back here you can also find a bird statue similar to the ones that we saw up in the sky. Can't do anything with it yet. So once you come down here, there's not really much you can do. Now here we have an enemy! I forget if Fi can give us some advice on this guy, or we can at least see what we're doing, like Z to lock on, you can strafe around, just regular Z targeting techniques. Just give him a swipe in the direction that his mouth is open, and he'll die. It's like the other one was left to right, this guy was up and down. Pretty straightforward stuff. Fi's going to tell you the same stuff. If you're not careful, they'll do damage to you. And occasionally they'll drop hearts and rupees and stuff. It's standard Zelda fare. I guess our attention's being directed to this giant temple behind us. I should also note, if you take a look up around, notice what those circles look like. They may seem familiar to you. Fortunately, we can't go through that temple yet. So maybe we'll go down and check out that thing that was probably not going to kill us. But yeah, if you don't activate your sailcloth, you take damage. So you might want to activate your sailcloth. It's also faster to do it too, depending on when you open it up. That sounds like a good idea. I say we do that. Well, that'll make it easier to get back up at least. I wasn't looking forward to running all the way around. Very thankful we don't have to do that. Yeah, dowsing. Dowsing's a thing. It's easy to understand once I open it up, so you don't need to go through the explanation. Even if you've never played it before, she'll explain enough to you that you don't need to really worry about it. Press the C button to douse. Hold it down, you can select a target, or you can just deselect any target. If you select Zelda, you'll start to see your cursor pointing where she is and highlighting the direction that you need to go. So for instance, you can see, since it's pointing this way, we probably want to go into the temple. But one other thing I want to point out before we move on, and I'll get rid of the dousing so you can see it better. There we go. Take a look at some of the paintings that are around the sealed grounds. Tell me if they look familiar to you. If you remember the very beginning of the game, when we had that paint-like opening, with all of the cutscenes telling us the ancient story about how the evil guy was going after the ancient power, and blah blah blah, that's actually etched into the walls of the sealed grounds. And I'm all the way on the other side as a result of that. Like, how many people knew about that going in? Like, I've played this game through maybe 2 or 3 times, and I didn't realize until my most recent playthrough that that's a thing. And it's really interesting to see that that's not only just for the sake of a cutscene, it's actually etched into the world. It just adds a lot more to the background. It helps set the scene. Like, this is a real legend that you're living through. And yeah, I suppose that's true in every Zelda game, but considering this one is set well before any of the others, it feels like you're playing a prelude to all of the games that you've enjoyed for 25 years. And before we move over, I'll take the chest over to the right. Very important that you don't miss this. This is the free bottle of Revitalizing Potion. It restores your shield's health and gives you 4 hearts in addition to it, so it's really nice to have. Now we have 2 of those. We have a Revitalizing Potion and we have a Heart Potion. That's why I didn't buy the purple one. Ah. The traveler descended from the clouds above. I welcome you, child of fate. Tell me, what is your name? Giant. Ah, Giant. Very good. I sense you have already gained control over the sacred power that fills your sword when pointed skyward. That skyward strike is yours to command. It is proof that you are fit to carry the blade you bury, the goddess sword. I have sat here for many years, waiting for you to arrive, all so that I could fulfill my purpose as your guide. Yeah, a lot of people have said that to me already. It's only been 2 hours. You stand under the roof of the sealed temple, a place built by the goddess an eternity ago. Your arrival here was predestined many, many years ago. The spirit maiden you seek arrived here shortly before you, descending to this land in a shower of light. There is no doubting it. The gears of fate have begun to turn. Yet all is not as should be. The spirit maiden was not meant to reach the land in the manner she did. I feel an evil power working in the shadows. It moves to warp the destiny of which you two are a part. Giant? You are concerned for the Spirit Maiden and seek her whereabouts, yes? That is understandable, but for now you must focus on moving forward. That girl has her own purpose she must pursue, as you do. She must set out for Farron Woods to discover that destiny for herself, and you must follow. Show me your map. Thanks for marking my map, Mapson. She also tells us how to use beacons. Similar to the column of green light that you saw above where we descended, you can actually move these around and place them on the map with the C button. Even if you lift it up after you place it, Oh, I forget she doesn't actually let you move on unless the beacon is down. It doesn't matter that you placed it. And then remove it. So yeah, that places a beacon outside. You can use it to figure out places that you need to go from a long distance, because the column of light will go very far into the air. I guess it serves as your waypoint in the game. They can be useful, but if you have an idea where you're going already, then it doesn't really help that much. Because you don't necessarily need them. And before we leave, one thing I want to bring attention to that is on this old lady's person. If you played the game before, you know what's most important to look at. And also, no spoilers. I think that goes without saying at this point. So we leave the sealed grounds, and we enter another area proper. You can actually see the beacon that we placed on the map, which is the whole reason why we have this. Even if the beacon isn't placed there, if you remove it before you go out, it'll still zoom out to show you where the beacon would normally be. So it's just kind of confusing for that to happen if the beacon isn't actually there. Looks like there's a Goron in need. Let's completely avoid him, because we don't need to do anything. You'll find as we enter new areas, it's sometimes useful to stray from the path so you can unlock shortcuts. So for instance, you remember we entered the sealed grounds over here, worked our way around. Now that we rolled down that log that was sitting on the cliff, we've unlocked a shortcut straight to this area. And these guys don't seem like they're going to be leaving that guy alone anytime soon. So if we can actually get these guys out of the way, like, I'd like to do a finishing blow on that guy, but I don't think I would have just been given the opportunity. And as soon as we defeat the last one, we're not going to be able to pick up any of the drops these guys left. I was hoping one of them would drop something useful, but they didn't, so too bad. Yeah, you really wouldn't either. I guess there is some kind of evil at work here. The second time. Bird statue looks a lot like the ones on Skyloft, and we saw one in the sealed grounds too. We're going to be seeing a lot of Gorko. He likes to travel around and learn about stuff related to the legends of traveling up to the sky, or this Isle of the Goddess place. It's all really interesting stuff that I wish we could tell them more about, but unfortunately we're mutes. Like, can you imagine, if Link could actually talk, just how much he and Gorko would have to discuss? Like, it's at this point, I feel they included Gorko here just to tell you how important Skyloft is. Even after you leave it, that we've been living in a fantasy land that nobody on the surface even believes exists, because it's such a sacred place, like an area of legend. That it's not until you leave that you appreciate the place for what it was. That it's an absolute paradise, a utopia. I mean, it's not like we'll never be able to go back there again, but hearing it from somebody who only thinks of it as a myth, it just tells you so much about the importance of the place that you were born. So now we can use these save statues, and I think now's as good a time as any to call it an episode. So this is UniversalGiant, and from these save statues we can either save or return to the sky, bring us to our loft wing, fly back to Skyloft, do whatever we want. I think it's about as good a time as any to call it quits, and next time, we'll explore the woods. This is UniversalGiant. I'll see you then.